We, I think like many organizations, had cobbled together our learning environment and our training records, which were all paper-based, sign-in sheets, attendance tracking, and so forth were all paper-based, and it just became an unmanageable standpoint. We could not continue forward with keeping things on paper. So from a learning management system standpoint also, we had also put together a variety of homegrown and little pockets of electronic tracking or test taking and so forth. And again, there was no connection, there was no visibility, so we were operating off of multiple systems. One of the major things that we heard back from our employees was, we really don't know where to go to find the training, and we don't know where to go to find the attendance records. And being an FDA regulated environment, it was very, very important, especially during audit, to be able to produce training records in a very quick fashion. So we spent organizationally just thousands of hours a couple of times a year trying to bring records up to speed. Not that training wasn't occurring like it should have been, but we just had to be sure that we had it documented accurately. So just from a variety of perspectives, we were looking for a single solution, a solution that we could validate from the FDA's perspective, and really one-stop shopping for obtaining the training necessary, whether it's through e-learning or finding the classes necessary, marketing to our employees, and then also providing instantaneous access to records and also to compliance status as well.
What, when you from choosing Greenlight, going through implementation, could you talk about the implementation and the service that you received? Was that a good experience for you?
Yeah, it was. It was very much a good experience. And I've implemented a lot of other kinds of systems over the years, and so this was definitely a positive experience. And I'll tell you that the people that we worked with, Dave Matheson as our project manager, and Lyle Emmett and the whole crew, were, we became very close over a period of time, understandably, because we worked together very closely. And Steve came. So when I did reach out, or we reached out for assistance or assistance with how to configure things or how to make best decisions, we got really very immediate response, very thorough response. And so it was a good partnership all the way through. I really can't find anything that I could have said that really could have gone better. I think that we had pretty good open communication. Betty was involved with that as well. And when we reached a point where we needed something, if we weren't getting it, and they were really receptive for us saying so.
So would you recommend and endorse Greenlight?
Absolutely, absolutely.
How was what's the impact been from your perspective as it relates to being a project manager, obviously tied to the success of the rollout of this? What's been that view from your perspective, rolling it out to your employee base? Has it been adopted? Has it helped with engagement?
It has. One of the biggest things that I was looking for as we implemented the system, particularly on our second phase, and that was really the bulk of the system back on January 1st, was for it to be really a non-event. So we were seeking a system that was customizable enough that we could put it out there for our end users, and virtually without any training at all, they could get on, find their way around, get what they needed, and if they needed some extra help, then fine, we were there for them. And so it really was non-eventful. Those first few weeks of January, it was quiet, and you never know how that's going to go to begin with, but systems, sometimes they're very eventful in their implementation, and this one was really a non-event. So that was one indicator of success. The feedback in the hallways has been, sometimes from people who are the biggest skeptics, has been very positive. And I will say that our group, culturally, even the management group, who has tended to really step back and wait and see sometimes what this means to them, and really, do I need to use it, has been, they have been more early adopters than I have seen them on other types of projects. I think the ease, as soon as they found out how easy it was to use, then we really removed that barrier, and now we've got, they have to be on it to do their training, to complete their training, to monitor their compliance. So there's really no question, but the response positively in terms of what their experience has been like has been very, very gratifying for our team as we've gone through the implementation.
So it ties into performance and development. So as you align corporate goals, individual goals for the employees, being able to connect that to learning is much more of it appears to be much more of a smoother transition, so that the quality and the delivery of such training is as good as one could hope.
You know, I would definitely agree with that. I think one of the things that you brought up, one of the important points is it's taken the focus off of training administration and training delivery to some extent, and allowed us to start to shift our focus to application. So once the learning's occurred, making sure that we're putting the right learning opportunities out there, but once the learning's occurred, then we want to be certain also that we're applying it and that we're getting some sort of behavioral change that we're looking for back in the workplace. And so that's really allowed us the time to start to focus more in that direction, because it is tied in more directly. There's immediate visibility to where people stand, immediate feedback mechanisms in place if people need certain learning opportunities and they're not receiving them. And you know, the one single system in the reporting obviously is an advantage for that as well.
How's the report?
Part of the ROI of the system was that we had, in replacing the paper-based training record system, we took some pretty solid measurements of a before and an after state, and we've definitely achieved that. So that the hours that were being spent recording training from a paper-based system standpoint, auditing that training, reviewing those training records, maintaining those training records, so all of that's gone away. So the ROI is certainly there. We also replaced a very manual series of 700 tests that relate back to standard operating procedures with a different approach that we're able to use now that we've got a system that we can rely on, and that also will notify people when their qualifications are due or about to be due. You know, so we've got some real advantages there. So we have replaced quite a bit of inefficiency, and also been able to release a couple of other software systems that were components of this cobbled together training environment that we had previously. So, you know, I would say return on investment is clear, and we are already where we want to be.
Last question. You have, you folks are an SAP shop, and as I understand, you looked at the SAP learning module as one of the possible solutions.
We did.
Can you share at all from a, you know, I guess maybe a little bit of a comparison, what stood out more from a green light perspective in wanting to go that route versus having that module from the larger ERP system?
Sure.
What was it that really kind of stood out or made you think that this is the right choice?
Well, I think two things. One is the ability to truly build the system that we wanted. So not just from a configuration standpoint, but we also had some custom work done, but the door being open to be able to do that. Second thing, software as a service. And it was a little bit of a push for us because we do not have a software as a service system that's been validated for 21 CFR Part 11 compliance. And so we were going into new territory along that line and really had to define what that looked like. That was a big part of the process and the big part of the validation of the system. But at the same time, looking at the other systems we looked at, whether it was SAP's solution or the other ones we looked at other software as a service providers as well. We get back to the customizing piece. The look and the feel of the system is techy enough for us. That's what we're looking for. We want to be able to utilize it, whether we're administratively utilizing it or from an end user standpoint in a very straightforward way. We don't need to build a lot of padding around, you know, how to get there. We want to be able to go right to the function and achieve it, if that makes sense. And so, but being able to customize and build what we wanted as an end solution was extremely important to us. And we felt that that's truly what, you know, what we had in this product.